we're in a drought this summer, right? And there's been a range of other weather events. Can you tell us what's been going on?
Growing up, I remember my dad telling me that we were in a drought. We were in a drought. Yes, we are in Utah. We are on the western side of the country. It is drier. I'm not understanding what that meant as a kid, but now as an adult, we're definitely in a drought, and I think it's kind of scary, especially when you hear the farmers can only water so many times a week, so many times a month. And that's to provide their cattle and people with food through the winter.
We are in one of the toughest droughts the West has faced in a number of years. It's been worse. I do know that. It has been worse. But my crops look good. My cattle look good. I don't depend on sensors that are hidden in ice caps on the North Pole where the data is sold and changed hands 3 or 4 times, where someone interprets it and says there's a crisis here. I look out here. If there is an environmental crisis, my sensors haven't picked up on it. Look at my neighbor's hayfield. Look at the cat jogging across the yard. Does it seem that there's a crisis here? No.
One thing that we have to remember is the issues that we're seeing right now is not necessarily the only time these things have happened. And so the locals that have been here for generations are going to have a much different perspective than we have. Like the drought, for example, bringing that up, this area goes in and out of drought. And that doesn't necessarily mean that I don't think it's because of climate change, but that's sometimes the perception of the locals here. I do think it's pretty bad, but I remember when I was a kid living here that the drought was so bad that we almost had to cut off our culinary water. And so a drought this year compared to back then is not as bad.
One thing I promise you, straight up, the only thing that has any value in this area is water. And when the water becomes too valuable downstream to someone else, that will be the end of agriculture in this valley. That will be the end of the cattle industry in this valley, when they can't afford the water.
I've got a little peach tree over there that just up and died. It didn't even come into, it didn't even leaf out. It was just dead. And that right there, the people are terrified now. They don't know how long it's going to last. There's all kinds of news stories about, well, maybe this is going to be hanging around for the next 10, 12 years. What are they going to do? Now it's a crisis. And that might get somebody's attention. But it takes a crisis.